The Durham report is full of groundbreaking news that the media is doing everything in their power to cover up. What I'm about to tell you is equally explosive. If you're like me, you might have asked yourself how Bill and Hillary Clinton have escaped any legal trouble when their crimes seem to be obvious to anybody paying attention. We know that Bill was a frequent flyer on Jeffrey Epstein's plane. There's photo evidence. And what about that creepy painting of him in the blue dress found on Epstein's island? Are we also just supposed to forget about Hillary's emails? And what about the Clintons and Epstein connection all the way up to the Rothschilds? I was just recently in London and kind of wandered off of James Street onto Little St. James Street. And it kind of shocked me because I thought, well, Epstein, and so I see a house there with all these statues, and I look it up and I find out that the house is owned by the Rothschilds on Little St. James Street. And since we know that Epstein has Little St. James Island, I thought, well, let me just see if there's any connection between Rothschilds and Epstein. Sure enough, I find out that Lynn Rothschild was actually on the island many times. And then I go on to find out that when her husband passed, that she actually had Bill Clinton come and do his funeral. I mean, this is just stuff you can't even make up. I don't know, it's interesting. Epstein, Rothschild, Clinton's connections all there, and the Little St. James Island. And then we look at all the big things going on in the world. We wonder, how do these people get away with literally murder and all these crimes and all of this? Well, according to the Durham report, the FBI has been hard at work defending the Clintons from any legal consequences. The report states in 2014, the FBI investigated a well-placed confidential source's claims that an unnamed foreign government intended to contribute to Hillary Clinton's anticipated presidential campaign as a way to gain influence with Clinton should she win the presidency. The field office investigating these claims almost immediately sought a FISA warrant, but it remained in limbo for approximately 4 months, primarily due to Clinton's then expected presidential campaign. Beginning in January 2016, this is the election year, by the way, 3 different FBI field offices, the New York field office, the Washington field office, and the Little Rock field office opened investigations into possible criminal activity involving the Clinton Foundation. Ultimately, FBI leadership held a joint meeting with the 3 field offices, FBI headquarters, and appropriate United States attorneys' offices. The first joint meeting occurred on February 1st, 2016. However, the Department of Justice Public Integrity Section Chief Ray Hulser said the FBI briefing at that meeting was poorly presented and saw insufficient predication for at least one of the investigations. A second joint meeting occurred on February 22nd, 2016, which former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, remember that name, chaired, and McCabe initially directed the field offices to close their cases, but later agreed to reconsider the final disposition of the cases. Durham's report noted. Paul Abate, who was the FBI Washington field office's assistant director in charge at the time, described McCabe's demeanor during the joint meeting as negative, annoyed, and angry, all according to Breitbart, their article about this, how the FBI actually did away with 4 investigations. 4 investigations, and Comey came in and demanded they all be dropped. This was just in February before the fall 2016 election, where they all thought Hillary would be the shoo-in winner of the election because they had a lot of things in play, right? And instead, Donald Trump won the presidential election. But all of these FBI investigations with tremendous amounts of information was all dropped while they weaponized the FBI against Donald Trump, spying on him and colluding against him with the Russia hoax, the Russia collusion hoax, trying to say that he was colluding with Russia, when in fact the FBI knew before they ever opened the investigation it was a lie. Comey knew it, Hillary knew it, Obama knew it, and so did Biden. The Clintons had a team of people at the FBI running interference for them to avoid criminal culpability. Gates told the outlet, "These matters absolutely warrant additional exposure and review." Former Representative Jason Chavez said the FBI's investigations into the Clintons were shut down by the higher-ups who had an obvious political desire to see Donald Trump lose and Hillary Clinton win. It's disgusting, really. Absolutely, these investigations should be revisited, he told the Daily Mail. There's no reason why Congress can't have a series of hearings with the field agents who were pursuing the Clinton Foundation and public interviews with them as well. So what do we make of all this? It's obvious that those who were called conspiracy theorists for seeking justice against the Clintons have been completely validated by the Durham report. But what happens next? Friends, there is no freedom, justice, or fairness in America with the FBI as it exists today. They are clearly a militaristic arm for the Democrat Party and for those that are in political crime syndicates across the world. And we know as well the Biden family, their crime, which is another episode we'll talk about, but the Biden family crime syndicate and all of these people, and they're all been working together, almost together at the same time, succinctly. We have Vice President Biden, who was taking pay-for-play opportunities during his vice presidency. We have obviously the Hunter Biden laptop that, again, the FBI covered up and played down and called it Russian information, misinformation. We got the word misinformation then thrown everywhere. How many people were censored? How many organizations? I mean, you couldn't say anything about the Hunter Biden laptop, and it was called Russian disinformation. Yet we found out it was legitimate. We found out that Trump's, the accusations against him concerning a Russian collusion and hoax it was a hoax. It was nothing. There was nothing there, nothing to it. The Durham report shows us that. It shows us that the FBI completely cleared the Clintons, completely did away with so many things that are legitimate crimes. We have some answers, but I'm convinced they're clearly working, the FBI is working against the American people and will stop at nothing to corrupt the justice system we've enjoyed as a country until now. I'd love to hear your personal thoughts and opinions, and I just want to encourage you. There's a scripture that always helps me when I look at these situations and I think, how in the world are people getting away with this? And what do? Proverbs 26 in verse 23 says, "Like a coating of silver dross on earthenware are fervent lips with an evil heart. Enemies disguise themselves with their lips, but in their hearts they harbor deceit. Though their speech is charming, do not believe them." Don't believe them. We know not to believe them, right? "For 7 abominations fill their hearts. Their malice may be concealed by deception, but their wickedness will be exposed in the assembly." Thank God for people like Jim Jordan and other congressional candidates that have promised to do hearings and have started doing those hearings and actually bringing some of these FBI informants and whistleblowers to Congress to report not only what they knew and what was going on and how the higher-ups were shutting their voices, but now these whistleblowers are actually taking attacks themselves from the FBI. Mark Allen, one of the whistleblowers, actually lost his security clearance, his paycheck, and who knows, next they'll probably try to prosecute him criminally for some bogus charges. That's what they keep doing. They have weaponized our justice system, and until we get back our justice system and we get it out of the hands of people like George Soros and the people that are buying and playing our nation for fools in foreign governments, will not see true justice here in America. Let me know your thoughts. Please share this. Subscribe. I need you to subscribe to the channel for super amounts of information coming up. We're going to be seeing more and more as the enemy is exposed. Just as the scripture says, whoever digs a pit will fall into it. If someone rolls a stone, it will roll back on them. A lying tongue hates those it hurts, and a flattering mouth works ruin. We see these evildoers in the media. They flatter, they act like this report means nothing, that it's just something to vindicate Trump, when we know that we have an award-winning John Durham who has prosecuted fairly throughout history. He has a track record of that. Now he's obviously, it's being weaponized, the media, against him. So we've got to call these people out. I've got some tips and some things to share with you in the next episode. Thank you for watching, and I want to remind you to subscribe, like, and share. We'll see you next time.